Welcome back to the White Gray Black Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of your favorite ongoing Japanese manga. My name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel. With me again, the devil to my fruit, Gautam.
Hello, hello.
This week, it's a little bit of a different episode. Instead of covering a vast array or a small group of currently published manga, we're just going to talk about one single manga, quite possibly the best currently published manga, One Piece, chapter 1094, and a whole lot else that led up to that chapter. We're going to deep dive into all things One Piece, manga news, and a little bit more coming right up. All right, let's talk about One Piece. It's been a hot minute since we talked about One Piece. I think this is our third time this year. I think we're limited ourselves to once a quarter, so this is our fall One Piece discussion, I guess.
Yeah, unless you count the live action.
That's true. Yep. It has been a little bit, yeah. So this chapter 1094 is called J. Garcia Saturn of the Five Elders - the Defense Science Warrior God. And I want to skip right to that part because that's the cool part, but we'll go through a little bit of some of the other stuff that goes on in the chapter. So one of the Vegapunks, I can't remember the names of all of them, gives a command to the bots and makes them stop. Bonnie is running away. They're all kind of running away, trying to get to the Going Merry, right? To try to figure it out.
Bail out of there, yeah.
Or the Sunny, yeah. I thought this part was cool. So Bonnie has the age control powers, right? She does this like near-death experience attack that like hits these guys in the head, makes them like die essentially for 1 second, and then reverts them back. I thought that was like the creativity of the Devil Fruits are awesome.
That was so cool. I would react the same way this guy reacted right here. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm done. I just experienced my whole life. I'm fulfilled. See ya.
Yeah.
He absolutely has a meltdown, just like everyone else. What a cool attack.
Yeah, very cool attack. Bonnie's very interesting. We got Kizaru and Luffy fighting. We still have Zoro and what's the other guy's name? There's so many people in One Piece.
Rob Lucci.
Yeah, Rob Lucci. That's right. That little piece of shit. They all feel an ominous presence coming. This to me speaks like Conqueror's Hockey users feel this. Not everyone does. Or maybe everyone feels it. But the four people that they kind of show really noticing it, the Kizaru, Luffy, Zoro, Rob Lucci, and there's so many names in One Piece. I'm just losing Jinbei. Those five I'm pretty sure have Conqueror's Hockey. So I would guess that that's what they're feeling when Jay Garcia is about to show up here. And then somebody gives the units to the Pacifista, which we saw back in the first page. They're like, oh, the only thing above the Vegapunks in the command structure is the Five Elders. And so in the command structure we get, somebody tells them to stop, and they stop, and everyone's like, what is going on? A magic circle appears. Go ahead, yeah.
The most satanic fucking circle in the fucking universe appears.
Yeah. Here it is at the bottom of this page. So a satanic circle appears, and out pops not the Jay Garcia we are used to seeing, but a very demonic, and he is called the highest authority of the world government, Five Elder Planets Defense Science Warrior God, Saint J. Garcia Saturn. And he says, like, I almost can't remember the last time I came to the surface. And he just looks at a dude, and they die in the top of this page. So, some pretty intense stuff going on. Luffy runs out of power. We see that he is essentially a giant spider devil thing that looks like he's on fire. So this kind of confirms, all right, we can start talking about the good shit now. This kind of confirms, I don't remember if it was the last time we talked about it. I think it was. We talked about Sabo running away from the Five Elder Planets, and when he saw the death of Nefertari Cobra, is that right?
Yeah.
And he steals Vivi, and they escape, and we see like shadows that are sort of shaped animalistic like demons. And there was a lot of speculation around, like, well, is it is it Oda covering up their devil fruits? Do they actually look like this? Is this Emu's power? Is this Im's power? Or is it their power? This confirms a lot, right? This confirms that this is either a devil fruit power or something else. We'll maybe get back to the something else in a minute. The 5 older planets actually look like that. They have some kind of demonic powers, which also means that Im has some other power, assumedly. And they are incredibly strong, right? Like this, I don't know if we've ever seen any person in One Piece kill another person on screen with so little effort. I mean, like, Jay Garcia looks at a dude and the guy's head explodes. It's pretty intense up there. And then, we get sort of, he's obviously very large because when you're large in One Piece, you're strong. Facing down some of the Straw Hats here, and Vegapunk says, like, Saint Saturn, I assume. They appear to know each other or be familiar with each other. And then we get Bonnie kind of getting, I want to say, like, flashbacks or memories. You can tell me how you feel about this. I feel like this is probably what she saw inside that Pawpaw memory bubble.
Yeah,
assumedly has to do with either Saturn or all of the elders, because she immediately grabs a sword, and in the flashback bubbles here say, like, erase his individuality completely, make sure no trace of it remains. But if we do that, Kuma ... and then she stabs Jay Garcia in the chest, and she's crying, right? So, wow,
right,
what a chapter.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts on this chapter, real quick, Gautam?
I don't know. This brings, like, a lot of questions into what devil fruits are. They sound like they are actually fruits just made by Im, the devil. Mm-hmm. I remember back during the Sabo chapter, Im was attacking Sabo with, like, a devil tail attack.
Right,
and,
yeah.
That's very on point for the devil motif. The devil summoning circle pretty much all but confirms that, confirms, quote unquote, loosely confirms that the world government is just a bunch of either devils or Satan worshippers, or something to that effect. And the devil fruits are something created by whatever the devil is in this universe.
Well, let's get into that.
Possibly
because there's some interesting stuff here. I saw some comments on this saying, oh, Jay Garcia wasn't introduced with a fruit power like they usually are. I don't know if I necessarily think that that's like an every time introduction thing. Like, I don't think all characters are introduced immediately with what their devil fruit power is always. So I do think this could still be a devil fruit. He could have some awakened Zoan that he's using, right? It could be the, death spider or something. But I'm kind of on board with no, these guys don't have devil fruits.
I think they're just devils.
Yeah, because the idea of a devil fruit is that there's like it's a copy of a devil's power, or it has like a small part of a devil inside, or the devil's power inside. This just seems like this is a straight up a devil, right? Like, we have seen their powers maybe sort of quantified and put inside these little devils for the people to use. This guy just seems like he just is a devil, like, straight up.
It seems that way to me too. And they're immortal. He hasn't gone to the surface in forever, which brings into question, what is the Mary Jo, the Holy Land, like, what is that place if not the surface in some way?
Well, it's way up high, right? Isn't it like on top of the red line? Is that right?
Oh, you might be right. Maybe
I think he's probably just saying, like, he hasn't been down to, like, an island, like the ground, quote unquote, like a ground.
Right.
That's what I was thinking, but yeah.
And isn't Saturn a weapon too? Like, I have to go back and read, but like, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, they're all like weapons.
So the weapons. Oh god, the weapons haven't been mentioned in like a year and a half. I have to remember. Pluton,
Uranus is one.
Uranus, and is it Saturn the last one?
I don't remember. Hold on.
I don't know. You can look it up, but yeah, I mean, this is. You're right that this brings up a lot of questions. I also think this does answer a lot of questions also. And I think I wonder if in the next chapter or two we'll get either a flashback or Bonnie talking about what she saw in the pawpaw fruit. That seems important here. to what's going on. Well, I think we all kind of assumed that Bonnie's going to attack Vegapunk or something. Vegapunk did something in the past, but it's looking more and more like perhaps it was not Vegapunk. Perhaps it was these shitbags.
From whatever Bonnie's flashing back to in these few panels, it seems like Vegapunk was given the order to do to erase Kuma. I guess the question is why. Why Kuma?
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll find that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was just like a lot of big reveals.
For sure.
I wonder why the sea is like the counter to devil abilities in general. Then
that's a good question, and I don't want to necessarily table that, but I want to loop that together with, can we look at a visual design thing of Jay Garcia here? He's got the same kind of sort of dark cloud wreath that Luffy has in Gear 5 as Joy Boy, but his is white, right? I don't think it showed up in the chapter, but the first time he transforms into Joy Boy, he's got the kind of, it's almost the exact same pattern as this sort of like cloud halo wreath thing around, kind of like goes under their arms and up around their head. Jay has the same thing, but it's black, and Luffy's in Joy Boy form is white. That, to me, that visual design strikes a chord with me, because that tells, and obviously,
they're parallels,
yeah. Luffy's like obviously the good guy. It's pretty straightforward. Like the good guy and the bad guy have similar design elements, but I also think that this could mean that, oh god, all right, there's a lot of shit that could be going on here. It could be that not all devil fruits are of the devils, right? Maybe we label them all devil fruits, but maybe some of them are powers of the devils, and maybe some of them are powers of something else. Angels, another name for angel. I think angel, and I don't know.
It very well could be that devils are complex, like D&D, where they're not all evil. I could see particular devil fruit being, or owners being like good guys, or motivated by different things.
Yeah, more than owners. I guess I'm like going off the assumption
the devil itself, right?
Right, going off the assumption that the devil inside the devil fruit, or the power captured from the devil in the devil fruit, however you want to say that, could be taken from someone like Jay Garcia, who is clearly kind of an evil, straight up spider devil, or it could be maybe taken from some other powerful being like Joy Boy and put into a fruit in that way. And it could be one of those, like, they're all the same type of being, but the good ones got wiped out, or there's not very many good ones, and so, everything that was left was devils. I don't know. This, to me, this whole Vegapunk arc, we have gotten a lot of reveals, but we've also got, I have like more questions about the Void Century and the like long before that than I ever have. And I hope that we're leading up to some reveals about that, because it feels like what was it, like two or three chapters ago, maybe just 2 chapters ago, when Luffy activated Gear 5, the like robot woke up on Vegapunk Island or whatever, on Egghead. And that has not been addressed.
We do know that they're, like, I know their goal is to leave Egghead, but they're not leaving Egghead. They wouldn't show that robot and the ruined civilization under Egghead so much if we were just going to leave Egghead. So we're in Egghead for a bit.
I think
probably the whole arc. Yeah.
My guess is that since they are already trying to escape, my guess is, and Luffy just sort of lost his power and needs to take a break before he can go Gear 5 again. My guess is that Jay Garcia here, he's not going to kill anybody, but I'm going to guess that he fucks up the pirates and they have to run. And they're like, I kind of want to say it's going to be another one of the, like, sort of like in the first half of the series, where it's like someone got hurt and that means we have to go find someone to help something, and it'll be,
You think there are too many cast members, they're going to split the crew a little bit?
I think that's a potential. Not necessarily what I was getting at, but I do think that's a very high potential thing, where maybe some have to go to Elbaf to heal. Maybe some have to go to another place. Maybe some go back to Wano or something like that. I don't know. I'm predicting this is going to be another sort of that this fight or slaughter or whatever it turns out to be, this I think will be the end of Egghead. I don't think you can go. We've been escalating from CP0 showing up to Kizaru. What is he, vice admiral? Is that what Kizaru is?
He's an admiral.
Or an admiral. Okay, just straight up admiral. Admiral showing up to suddenly this is literally the second highest tier bad guy we've seen other than M, right? So
yeah,
I don't want to get into power scaling with it, but I don't think that Luffy is in a position in the story right now to beat Jay Garcia, and I think he's the only one that could do it right now.
I think Oda specifically doesn't want to answer that question, which is why he took Luffy out of the fight.
I think you're right. I think Luffy is out of power. I think everyone else is sort of on the run, trying to run. I think this is, everybody gets kind of messed up by Jay Garcia, but they get away somehow. I'm gonna guess that they get away from the robot in the basement. Something about that robot has me interested. The robot's gonna come out and try to fight Jay Garcia. That's gonna be my little prediction for how the fight goes. But
yeah, I could definitely see that, because that civilization got destroyed, right? I could see by the world government, so I could see there being grudges there. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of shit to think about with that, with all of these reveals. We do know that Joy Boy is kind of the ultimate villain in the world government's eyes, and therefore Luffy's the ultimate villain in the world government's eyes. So Joy Boy has always been kind of a thorn in their side. So that's why they try to monopolize the gum fruit.
Yeah. But it's interesting. So I'm trying to remember, because it's been stuff in One Piece moves so quickly and so slowly at the same time. Why Jay Garcia is here for Vegapunk, right? Didn't they send him specifically to make sure Vegapunk gets taken out, or is he here? He's not here for Luffy. We don't know why
he's here.
Okay, I thought that we knew.
We don't fully know why he's here. Kizaru is here for Vegapunk. And the rest of them, the rest of them are here for Vegapunk. Presumably, he is here to make sure this mission is completed, but there could be other reasons. It's going sideways for the world government, so it makes sense that he'd pop in. It was cool seeing Kizaru kind of be like, "Oh fuck," when Luffy
punches him in the head.
Yeah.
At the top here, he just it's this isn't good.
It's the first time in the whole series we've seen him actually sweat.
Yeah. Well, also, there's a note here that I just noticed, is that Jay Garcia in this top left panel says Nika, calls Luffy Nika, so I think that would seem that he is familiar, that Jay Garcia is familiar with Nika in some regards. I don't know if that, again, is from the Void Century or before then. I would assume before then. I don't think there was a Nika during the Void Century, if I'm remembering right. There's a lot of stuff in One Piece.
Sure. I do think Nika was there because Joy Boy was the one leaving clues about the Void Century.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
What Roger... So Nika was around. So Nika knew what happened there.
Didn't that turn out to be, what's his name? The giant...
Jaguar?
Is it Jaguar de Sol? Was that who's actually leaving the clues? I think we might. Yeah, I don't know.
Nika definitely left clue. He left the clue about the Void Century in Skypiea for Roger to find. So yeah, this is basically like a Lex Luthor Superman situation where the world government's forever rival is Sun God Nika.
Yeah.
Who is Luffy now, who doesn't have any of the context, but
and probably won't ever have any of the context.
Yeah, he doesn't really care, right? He's just doing his thing. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. This is all cool shit. I am curious to see where they go with any of it. Im is leading up to be the big bad, but I wonder where does that leave Blackbeard? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think Black again. We talked about this in the past, maybe the last episode, maybe 2 episodes ago, where we talked about One Piece. But Blackbeard is an ideological,
parallel to Luffy as well.
Yeah, counter parallel. Yeah. Foil. Foil would be kind of the official thing, right? Is that because they both sort of believe in this total freedom, but their paths to get there are completely opposite. So that to me, I see. I don't know. If I were a storyteller, I would put that at the very end. but it could be before then. It could be before M, because to me the sort of plot bad guy of I'm evil and I'm enslaving people and my slavery versus your freedom, that battle happens and then freedom wins, and then the final battle is, okay, but now what type of freedom is right? Is the type of freedom where any Blackbeard's freedom of, take other people's stuff, you are free to do whatever you want, or is it Luffy's freedom, of the other more kinder extent? To me, that's how I would set it up, but I could go either way, and I don't know. So
here's my prediction. They both fight the world government together.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they both believe in freedom. That's their whole thing, both of them. And the world government is very much opposed. They're the ones putting chains and restrictions on everyone.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
I can
see it, yeah, Blackbeard turning off powers for Luffy to get like a hand in. I can see that happening.
I could very much see a sort of Naruto-esque Takenojutsu. Blackbeard, you don't like slavery either, right? Come help me for this. And they sort of help each other out to get through the world government. And then after that, I do think that Blackbeard and Luffy have to...
Oh, they'll fight. Yeah.
I don't know if they necessarily need to fight, but I don't know if it's a cop-out to say, like, maybe at the end Blackbeard is just like, okay, I see your point of view, Luffy. That's fine. I will think about my ways. I
don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening either.
They have to fight because Blackbeard is the reason Ace died.
Yeah.
I think
that's true. I think about that.
And I don't think even Luffy would ask for his help. I think they would just have to work together at some point, because they're so fucked otherwise. Where does Shanks fit into this? He knows all this.
Well, and Shanks, a couple of chapters ago, we got the reveal that Shanks is like I want to say essentially like the son of the Tenryubito, one of the Immortal Dragon like commanders in some island, right? We saw that at the end of a chapter. This was maybe like 2 months ago now.
I might have forgotten. I don't remember that.
Yeah, it showed. Okay, no, this was. Okay, it was lore that was revealed in, I want to say the movie, the latest movie that we saw about a year ago, that he was from some like Figureland island, right? And then we got a reveal at the end of a chapter a couple of chapters ago that was like, oh, here's like somebody Figureland commander, like commander of the Immortal Dragons like forces on this island, and that some of that tied into Shanks. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of questions here. I have a lot of questions about how does Shanks tie into this. My big question is how do the freedom fighters, the rebels, Dragon and all of them tie into this? Does Dragon know that this is like who's running the world government? Part of me says that Dragon knows.
Dragon knows now. They showed that moment with Sabo, telling them about the Cobra assassination. One of those chapters. That's
right. I forgot that Sabo essentially saw what all of the planet senior guys look like. So.
Yeah, so it's interesting. The characters that know about this are Shanks, Sabo, and Dragon, and all of them.
How does Shanks know about this?
Oh, because Shanks meets with them constantly, like throughout the series. Meets with the elders, and like in a cloaked, like he's cloaked when he meets them.
Okay,
I think the implicate. And aside from those guys, Wapol and Vivi know about it too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Wapol. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's so funny. And everyone in Egghead.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and I don't like, to be honest, I don't think a whole lot of people are making it out of Egghead after this reveal. As far as like the Marines and stuff, right? Like I do think Jay Garcia could probably just like wipe all the Marines out so that no one goes back and tells stories about like, oh my gosh, I saw one of the commander guys and he's I saw one of the 5 elders and he's a fucking spider demon.
Yeah, everyone Commodore ranking or below are just going to get, like,
killed. I don't think I put that page there, but it's just like, look, if you're below, like, if you have no battle prowess, if you are a low-ranking members, do not look at the demon man that is about to appear. And the one guy who looked just gets absolutely sniped.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to let the new hires in on your big secrets, I guess.
Yeah.
That just huge reveals left and right. One Piece be crazy, man.
It's crazy. You mentioned something I wanted to go back to, that because the elder, the Jay Garcia / all the elders are revealed to be these kind of demons. You mentioned that Emu might possibly be just the devil. I'm interested. Expand on that a little bit if you've got anything else.
Well, okay, I think the obvious reason is that all of her attacks, or his attacks, are devil tails. The one that hit Sabo, for example, was just a flat out devil tail.
Right, and we talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only reason, and them being the leader, in being the leader of all of this, and these devil forms that all of the world elders have. It's something I'm curious about, though, right? Is that they have a good relationship with Shanks. For some reason, we don't know why. But if in Wano, one of the characters that Jinbei was fighting, Who's Who, was the name of the character,
yes.
Stated that he got shit canned by the government and imprisoned because he lost the gum gum fruit. He was on the ship right, he was on got raided, and he lost the gum gum fruit for that reason. And it was raided by Shanks, who got the fruit, and then the first chapter of One Piece happens later on, where Luffy eats it. But I'm kind of curious if that's what got him roped into this mess to begin with, or what. I have no idea.
See, yeah, I think. So I guess I'll lead this off with saying I don't think Shanks is a bad guy. I think he was born into. I think he was born into a celestial dragon family. I think he saw how messed up stuff was around him. I think he sort of chose to be a pirate, maybe kind of left or rebelled against his family. There's a lot of themes in One Piece around kids sort of distancing themselves from their fathers and being their own person, or choosing their own family, choosing their own fathers and stuff like that. It makes sense to me that Shanks would do something very similar. But I think Shanks is incredibly intelligent, and I think that he knew that, once I have enough prestige in the pirate world, I also have an in. He sort of like has connections to the celestial dragons. He can go back and use those and manipulate those. And so I think he's a double agent, essentially, is I guess what I would call him, is that he's going...
Playing both sides.
Right. Because if you think about it, like, if he was meeting with either, maybe not necessarily the five elders back then, but if he was meeting with celestial dragons and hearing things and hearing like, oh yeah, there's this really important fruit that's being moved, by the world government, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes and attacks. It's like, okay, well, that's like spy shit, right? Like they're moving something important. I heard because I'm in this, I'm in these meetings with celestial dragons or elders or whatever. He goes and steals it because he knows. And I think that he knows that, hey, that fruit, maybe he knows enough to know that fruit is something that is powerful enough to take down all the big bad guys, the five elders and him. That's my read on it, is that he knew that was that fruit was that important, and so he was going to take it and either, I don't know if he necessarily planned to like eat it himself, but he was going to take it and do something good with it, right? He's going to make sure that the world government didn't have control of it, so that someone else out there could resist the world government. Maybe it was meant to go to Dragon or somebody, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? Or maybe himself. He doesn't have a fruit.
Yeah, that's kind of my read on it. I honestly think 10 years ago, Shanks is early 30s, late 20s. He doesn't have a dragon fruit, still incredibly strong. He has celestial dragon blood in him. He's trying to sort of play this double agent thing. Here's the one fruit that will, potentially stand up to him and all these devils at the highest level of government. Like, yeah, I'm going to take that fruit and maybe tell nobody about it, right? Maybe that was his plan. But then Luffy eats it, and so Shanks is like, okay, yeah, I have to. I think that might have been his gambit to sort of.
It does change the context of the very first chapter, though, if you think about it, right? I do think Shanks cares about Luffy. I really do. I think Shanks is a good guy, because I think him being an evil person who didn't care about Luffy would change the context of everything just so much that it would make sense. It would just suck, it would just be shitty.
wouldn't feel that doesn't feel like a One Piece thing to me.
It
almost nothing
like
that shitty has ever happened in One Piece. Like
yeah,
I can't name a single thing almost. So
with that said, I do think it changes the context on
him saving Luffy in chapter 1.
Him gambling his arm on Luffy too.
Right.
Like he said to Whitebeard is like, what happened to you when they first met, or when Whitebeard was first introduced. Yeah. Whitebeard asked like, what happened to your arm? He said, I bet it on the new generation.
Yeah, he's like, I gambled it on the new generation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I think that I don't know, that just all lines up. I think that, this is all, stuff is going to start getting connected, right? Because we've already started to get some reveals with Vegapunk and all this stuff. We've wondered all year, actually. I think both other One Piece episodes we've done this year, we've asked, or we've commented or mentioned, I think we're going to talk or learn more about devil fruits in this arc. This seems like the time to learn more about devil fruits. And it might be next chapter that Vegapunk goes like, oh yeah, devil fruits are created from the powers we see in these guys, right? Like Jay Garcia or something. But I think it all, in classic One Piece and Oda sense, he is I'm trying to think of how to say this. The world building is so good, but people often misconstrue good world building with complexity, right? With, there's so many little things going on. But I think good world building is actually more about sort of central columns that things tie into that are very simple and straightforward, right? Like, I'm trying to think of some other things with good world building, but I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to like spoil Bloodborne, even though that has great world building. But
yeah, let's just say Full Metal Alchemist, right?
Yeah, exactly. Full Metal Alchemist is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't even need to go into the details. I think people will just understand from that example. One Piece is very much like that. You're right. It sets up its pillars. It sets up its world, and it's not fucking rocket science. Yeah. The themes are all pretty simple. But yeah, it's just expanded upon to such a level that it ends up being great,
Yeah, well, and all of that to say that I think we are starting to, I think for the first, basically I think everything up to Wano is sort of like spiderwebs of expansion, and sometimes they cross over and you'll get, this thing is connected to that thing, oh cool, and I think we're starting to get more of a convergence of all this world building, because again, all these things that we're mentioning, right? I think that you mentioned stealing of the gum fruit is related to Shanks, and Shanks talks to the elders, and he is, where does that fit into all of this? And to me, it fits in because it's all connected. Like all this world building is going to sort of come down to a crux of a couple of sort of either key moments or events or just key ideas. And I think there is the idea of what is a devil fruit that is maybe what we're about to get at, right? Because I think that once we know sort of, let's just assume that we're correct in saying a devil fruit is something that Vegapunk, I don't think Vegapunk invented it, because surely they were around before then, but a devil fruit is something...
I think Im invented it.
Yeah.
Because one thing I forgot to mention is that when Sabo catches them, Im mentions, when talking to Cobra, that one of the Nefertiti's in the past fucked up Im's plane completely. I surmise that is just either distributing devil fruits or letting the gum fruit escape the government's grasp.
Right, yeah. But or maybe, maybe Im is, had a garden that no one was supposed to get into, so that all the fruits were always there and he could give them to whoever he wanted. And then someone stole all the fruits and spread them out, right? Maybe something like that, because...
A Garden of Eden situation.
Exactly,
they consider themselves God. Yeah, that could very well be the
and something like that. Again, that connects back to, to Im and the old Nefertari clan, which connects to... all this stuff is tied together, and it is so cool to watch One Piece go on and start tying it all together and think about how are they all related. And it's... To me, I like to generally choose sort of what's the simplest answer. The answer that explains the most things tends to be sort of a pillar. One Piece, like I said, it's not a whole lot of complex things. It's a lot of really simple stuff stacked together that makes it really cool.
I agree. This ain't Chainsaw Man where Oda intends to subvert all the time.
Yeah.
It is just the natural progress of having a million chapters and and wrapping things up. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good call out about subversion. Oda is not there's not really twists in One Piece, right? Like I'm trying to think if there have been any like there's not really like twist reversals in One Piece. Like there's reveals of big stuff. There's revelations of this new information is here or we now know this, but there's no like, oh, this thing that you thought was one thing is now something else. And I don't count something like, oh, Momo and Kinemon, they're from Wano. Like that's not really a twist.
Gear 5 is the twist. The twist I can think of. But aside from that, I think you're right, you know.
But it's not about but you're right that One Piece is not about subverting expectations.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
In general, it's I think you can go pretty above the board on most One Piece sort of plot character predictions and you'd be correct most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, like, when I read Twitter theories, I think I lose brain cells. I'm like, it's not that, guys. I get it. You love the series. I do too. But you're overthinking it. You're overthinking it majorly.
Well, and even like a couple of years ago, when people had all the theories about Nika and Joy Boy and Luffy, the best ones that I read were like they weren't super long, right? They were like, hey, we saw X, Y, and Z in Skypiea, this and this. Luffy, and then they like pointed out the like couple of evidences for it, and that was it. Like I've clicked on these Twitter threads that I know I've sent to you where it's like the reason Bonnie is actually a 4-year-old child, one of 63 in like a thread of Twitter. It's like, no, I'm sorry. Like again, it's very simple. People have been talking about this one. They're like, oh, maybe Bonnie's actually like a little kid who's using her fruit to age herself up, and it's like, no, that's not. It doesn't work like that because that's too complex. It's more simple than that because Oda is a simple writer. One Piece is a simple story, and that's what's great about it. That is not a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this all leads down to, right? Like, Roger was a huge threat to the world government. He found what Joy Boy left in Laugh Tale and thought it was hilarious. I wonder what it is so badly now.
That's another one of those things that's kind of impossible to predict. I think because it's so simple. It's going to be something so simple and straightforward that you can't even grasp. Like, well, of course it's that. Surprising yet inevitable is what it should be. That might be the one thing that will be a little bit of a twist. I think what's on Laugh Tale might feel a little twisty when we see it, but also it'll make complete sense. So,
I'm sure it'll make complete sense. I'm super looking forward to whatever the reveal is here. Yeah. One more thought. You know who definitely doesn't know the reality of the situation? I'm sure the admirals do. And I'm sure Sengoku does. Like, when Whitebeard says that the One Piece is real, he got pissed off. Presumably because this affects the world government in such a major way, but also it spurs on pirates. But, I don't think Garp knows, because I don't think Garp would be a Marine if he knew all of this bullshit.
That's a good call. I wonder... And see, and this is, I definitely agree with you. I think this is, again, why when the sort of final battle comes, a lot of the Marines we've been shown that have good hearts, like Smoker, like Garp, they will be on Luffy's side against. And I think because it'll either be revealed, in the heat of the moment, or it'll be revealed beforehand, or the rebels will do something. That's what I'm most curious about, because the rebels feel like I talked about like a lot of these plot webs and these world-building web information things, and I feel like the Rebels and Dragon and all of those are like a huge hole, and we've gotten like so. Dragon has to be the most important character that we have nearly no information on.
Yep, exactly. I'm kind of curious to see where it goes.
He's such
Robin
a threat.
Has the information on it. Luffy's just not interested in hearing it.
Yeah. Robin knows stuff. Sabo knows stuff. Sabo is sort of our little key into learning a little bit more about the Rebels. But when they enter into it, I think you will know. I don't necessarily say now we're in the end game, but like that is the last for me. I mean, we have little holes, but like we know about the Void Sentry and we know some stuff about it, and we know, Joy Boy's presence of it, and he left these hints behind, and we know that something was erased, and we know that sort of Im sort of came to rule right after the Void Sentry. But like we know more about the Void Century and sort of the context of it than we do about the Rebels. Like, they're just kind of there. We know that they're powerful. We know that Sabo's a part of it and that he gets sent there. We know that Robin was there for 2 years. We don't know what they're doing. We don't really know what their intentions are. I mean, assume it's to take down the world government, but how, why? That's the part. I think once we sort of reveal what they want, that'll be one of the last that's one of the last big puzzle pieces missing from One Piece for me.
Yeah, they are a big puzzle piece. Because I think now this explains why Aokiji left the world government. Kazan.
I didn't think of that, but certainly he could have just seen the 5 elders and been like, nope, I'm out of that shit.
Yeah. And I'm very convinced, like, even more than I was at like 99% before, I'm 100% convinced that he is not on Blackbeard's team for any reason.
Right. Well, and we talked about that. Was that maybe the last episode? I don't remember if we actually did.
Oh yeah. We did talk about like the Garp chapter.
Yeah, the Garp, because how does Sword play into this then? Because we were both, I think, pretty sure that we said Aokiji was a part of Sword, or at least not on Blackbeard's team. But maybe Garp does know about this, and maybe he's trying to fight it from the inside using Sword, if he's a Sword member, which he is, right? I'm pretty sure.
I think so. I
don't know if we know for sure.
Right?
Yeah, we know Kobe and Helmeppo for sure.
Then Garp has to be.
That's what I assume, right? Like, I think it will get revealed that Garp's the leader of Sword, maybe.
Because it would make no sense that Garp doesn't know about anything going on around him, right?
Yeah.
Actually, half of me, after I said that out loud, knowing how Luffy is, half of me could believe that Garp has no idea what.
I could definitely see that Garp doesn't know about the demon, the devil, doesn't know that the elders look like this, or that M is the devil incarnate. But I could definitely see him just being like, those are clearly the bad guys up there, and we're going to fight them from inside the Marines using Sword. Like, he doesn't have to know all the information to still sort of make a Garp decision on it.
Right. Yeah. Either way, it's so funny how, like, just one or two reveals like this flips his script so completely, because the world government is no longer kind of a neutral force in this world, that they are an evil force in this world.
Yeah, well, I think I have always assumed them to be evil pretty much since we kind of met, was it the Spody Archipelago? Where was it where we first meet the dragon the celestial dragon that Luffy punches?
That was the archipelago, yes.
Yeah, Spody Archipelago. Yeah. Like, ever since then, you're like, I guess you could kind of assume it's like, oh, they're just kind of rich and useless. But they always struck me as like, this is maybe not pure evil, but like, this is a straight up, there's not going to be good people coming from the sort of leadership of the world government / celestial dragons. We really haven't seen. I mean,
well, to me, it was just a representation of how our current world works, right? Where the rich can do whatever they want. The world's their playground, and everything caters to them. But now you can see that the government is literally devils. I think it's like, so it is very black and white.
One Piece almost always is. So it makes more sense than I don't think Oda would have gone the style of, I'm going to make social commentary, like full social commentary on the state of, income inequality and the rich versus the poor and all that stuff. Even though there is some subtext of that in the story, he
does a lot of social commentary. So
he does, but it's very straightforward. It is. I think representing the people on the bad end of it as literal devils is much more Oda style than having some, I don't want to say no nuance, but other than, wrapping that in a like a social commentary field of, I don't know how to say it exactly, but making them devils is much more Oda style.
Yeah, I totally get it. It's more fun this way too. Look, this guy's a giant fucking spider.
Yeah, he's a spider
devil. 50 feet tall. Frankie's already like 15, 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
That dude's huge. And this guy's like 3 times his size.
Yeah, Vega Tank 8. Cool. Anything else on One Piece?
No. Here? I think we'll catch everyone in the next world building lore drop of One Piece.
Yeah, we may not end up getting to that this year. We'll see.
Probably
might be January next year when we get to it, but yeah, we'll see.
We'll see if there's a chapter that's too cool to ignore.
That's true. It might literally be next chapter. We might just have to do 2 back to back.
Yeah, we will see. We will see to be determined.
Yep. I did want to mention there was some One Piece live action news that was pretty interesting. There was an entertainment article, interview with the lead showrunner Matt Owens, but he dropped some pretty interesting things about One Piece live action. Of course, we mentioned if you want to, you should go check out our One Piece live action review videos. We did 4 of those and talked about them. I mentioned this, I think, at the end of the last one, how Jamie Lee Curtis is interested in being Kureha in season 2. That is an inevitability at this point, I think. He mentions how season 2 is going to be about leadership, which I thought was interesting. And he mentions a character who hasn't, I don't know if he necessarily hasn't been cast or hasn't been introduced yet in season 1. So I think that's a good angle to take for both Luffy, and Vivi is the other leadership person, obviously leader of Alabasta.
And they covered a little bit of leadership in season 1 that wasn't in the manga, so I thought that was that's a good note to continue, because for sure. I think one of the most interesting fights in the series is Luffy versus Usopp in Water 7, and that all came down to emotions and the burden of leadership. And it was like so emotionally complex that I don't know, it was fucking great. But
it's great, yeah.
Looking forward to seeing what they do with it.
Yeah, he also mentioned, Matt, in this interview, talking about because they have so many, 1,094 chapters now of One Piece to go through, they can bring some stuff from later on that's sort of takes place during this season 2 time period, this kind of Logtown to Alabasta time. He mentions a character that he says, I think something about a lot of fans would love it. Or he mentions, I think, 2 characters to bring forward. One of them, most people are assuming is it Bartholomew, the Luffy superfan who sees him in Logtown. But we don't know about that until Dressrosa. But
right.
The way he's talking about it, he says, we might just bring that character forward and make he could be a small part of season 2. So I think that's interesting. And I think that's definitely what they should be doing.
Yeah, that's fun. That'll be fun.
I
read that interview. It's funny he mentions that he wanted to do justice by the series because 4Kids did such a shit job of it. Yeah. And I don't know if any of our audience is old enough to remember this, or maybe you are. But if you aren't, basically, when One Piece came out, everyone hated it, including myself, on Toonami, because
as cool as Bleach.
Yeah, it was so censored. That's the reason. All of the guns were replaced by squeaky hammers, pink and purple hammers. Nami's mom never died. She got taken to prison forever. Sanji had a Boston accent, and sucked on lollipops and didn't smoke on cigarettes.
Yeah, that was the big one. Everyone's seen the how are you making that lollipop smoke? Sanji's I'm licking it 4,000 times a second. Or, is that a meme? Yeah. That might be a meme redub, or it might be the real dub.
That is a meme. That is okay. But it is almost as ridiculous. Yeah, it is. It is not that far off from the reality of how bad that dub was.
Yeah. And Smoker, do they just what does Smoker have in his mouth? It's not cigars. They give him something else just nothing. Don't they just take it out and he just looks weird? I don't even remember.
I don't remember.
I know that they take.
I bet he looks like a. I bet he looks like just a fucking dragon where he's just breathing smoke out of his mouth or something.
Yeah, they just remove it and he's just got
his breath is just smoke.
Yeah, it just looks like this.
Yeah, he looks like a fucking maniac. Right?
He actually looks like he smokes more because he doesn't even have the thing. So
yeah. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, that is a notoriously bad dub, and I've seen the clips of it, and it's not very good. But I think it's cool. It just goes to show, I think, that Matt Owens, the showrunner of One Piece live action, is a fan, and I don't like sort of assigning people as a true fan or not a true fan, but he's an OG fan, right? I think he's near our age. He might be a couple of years older than us. But
you got to have respect for the source material if you're going to adapt something, right?
And that's why, to spoil the end of our One Piece discussion, you still go watch it. Having respect for the source material is why it was so good. And they didn't just say, and maybe this says in the article, I don't remember. They didn't just say like, okay, yeah, you've got a pirate rubber boy who wants to be a pirate. I'll take that and do my own story with it and tell kind of a thing. It's like, no, this is One Piece live action on screen. Matt Owens is, he deserves all the credit. If he ever gets taken off the series, I will be highly, highly concerned. He is, I think, maybe not the sole reason, but I would say a pretty big reason why that series turned out as good as it does, because he is a super fan, and the conversations he had with Oda clearly informed all the right angles there.
For sure. I'm glad to have him on board.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That's, I think, our One Piece discussion here. Got anything else?
Nah. I think we said our piece.
Cool. Hey, we know it's just that we only talked about One Piece this week. Next week, we are going to be doing I think we're going to do it next week. We're going to do a quick roundup of things you should be reading but are not reading. So sort of a suggestion thing. These are not going to be the popular things that you are probably reading, right? This is not, One Piece should not show up on this list. Jujutsu Kaisen's not on this list. It's going to be smaller things, stuff not published by Shueisha, the big publisher. So stick around for that one. Let's do some quick manga news, because we got a new anime season. We got a little bit of anime news. First thing on the list is, if you're in an English-speaking country or not in the United States or Canada, I think those are the two that Viz operates under. Manga Plus, which is run by Shueisha, which is the owner, publisher, whatever you want to call it, of a Weekly Shonen Jump and those. They put out the Manga Plus Max, which is just an app or a payment system. It is exactly the same as Viz, pretty much. You pay $2 and you get access to any currently published manga, and you get the entire run for $2. You can read. That means you can read all of One Piece for $2 right now. Actually, it'll probably take you 2 months, so it'll probably be $4, maybe $6. But still, $6 to read all of One Piece is a pretty big steal, in my opinion. And then I think it's $5.99 if you want to read any past completed stuff. This is, I believe, the exact same payment method that Viz does, and this is good. K-Manga is in absolute shambles. Their payment system is dog shit. So,
if you're gonna read One Piece, I would use this. I know there's scanlations online, but it is a pain in the ass to find scans that are cleaned properly and consistently translated in the same way.
Consistently translated is the big one, because when I read One Piece, I did not have access to Viz or Manga Plus's version of it, and so I went through, I went through knowing like the Shichibukai. The Shichibukai, and then eventually people start talking about the warlords, and I'm like, who are those? I don't understand. They would just swap, and the Tenryubito, right? The Tenryubito are the bad guys, and it's like, okay, that's the Celestial Dragons. They have all these different names, but it should all be consistent. I would probably, depending on what you want to read, I would probably recommend Manga Plus over Viz, simply because their reader is better. Their reader is better, especially on browser. I haven't used the apps for either of these, but if you're looking at sort of modern shonen stuff, I would recommend Manga Plus over Viz. Viz, I think, has a bit more of a backlog of some other seinen and some other stuff that I don't know. Again, I think they have a lot of overlap in library, but it's not full overlap. So check what you want to read. Again, you could get both of them for $12 a month, right? Which is like, there's more entertainment there than any streaming subscription service. So think about that. Let's see. Next on the list. Oh, yeah. One last One Piece thing. Luffy is set to appear in the 97th Macy's Day Parade on Thanksgiving in New York City for the first time, wild. Which is pretty cool.
That's so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk about hitting the mainstream. One Piece is already incredibly mainstream everywhere, kind of but America, but on the rise here for sure. One Piece live action helps. Appearing in the Macy's Day Parade also might help. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Let's see. We got some anime stuff. Dungeon Meshi, which is starting in January, is announced to be 2-core. That's good. We'll get 22 to 24 episodes of that. Happy for that. That's going to be a great series.
Go watch that shit, guys. It's going to be great.
We got a trailer that looks so good. I'm so ready for that. If you want to feel old, Kill la Kill turns 10 pretty soon. I think like a week ago was maybe the publication. I think the fall 2013 season was when Kill la Kill started being. So that makes you feel old. You want to feel even older. Neon Genesis Evangelion turns 28 this week. The first episode of that aired, I think, October 2nd, 1990. What would that be? 1995? 96? So
hey, that means that Shinji is a 40-year-old well-adjusted person now.
Yes. Well,
hopefully.
Well, if you saw the rebuilds, I think it stated that Shinji is a little bit more well-adjusted.
Shinji went really deep down the red pill rabbit hole. It's pretty tragic.
Yeah, it wouldn't even surprise me. Let's see. What else happened? Oh, yeah. Togashi, the mangaka of Hunter x Hunter, tweeted out the corner of a fucking page, and it got, I think, 429,000 likes. The last time I checked, it had something like 40 million impressions, which is insane. That's like...
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, like, that's... Like, so what's the population of our state? Like... That's like this... I don't know. Pop. Yeah, more people than live in the state that you and I live in, Gautam, viewed that tweet.
Can I just say, Hunter x Hunter is just that good.
I
get it. It is just that good.
I have to try it out.
Really
I don't know.
It is. I can't think of an arc that I think is better written than the end of the Chimera Ant arc. In all of manga, even One Piece.
Everyone raves about that. I mean, people have been talking about the Chimera Ant arc for 15 years now, 10 years.
Well, the York New arc is up there too. It's almost
York
as
New,
good.
Yep.
Yeah. Either way.
Let's see. Some more manga news. So, the creator Mapolo 3, they wrote the sort of recently canceled Pianissimo, whatever you want to call that, the sort of piano music manga that was in Weekly Shonen Jump. They have a new magical girl series titled Taisakai yo Maho Shoujo Tsubame. That's premiering on Jump Plus on October 7th. So that will be either up today when you're watching this, or maybe it was out yesterday. That should already be up. We're also getting 3 other new series starting in October in Jump Plus. On the 15th, we have Kuso Ona ni Sachiare by Mizuku Kishikawa. I looked up these. Most of these people are only sort of one-shot people or not very well known, so not a whole lot to say about them. On the 27th, we're getting Majo no Shiko by Akagi Shun. And then on the 29th, we have Ai ga Omoi Jirake Vampire by a author-artist named Rie. So lots of new Jump Plus stuff coming. I'm excited for that. I mean, I guess it looks like the way the cycles are happening is that Weekly Shonen Jump magazine will have sort of a thread of 3 or 4 new things, and then Jump Plus will kind of follow right behind them. I believe they did that last time in March and April, because we got all this stuff in March and April, and then we got stuff like Shibatarian and Service Wars, which Service Wars is fucking great. That I cannot recommend that one enough to anybody. It's the true spiritual successor of Shokugeki no Soma, and it's even better than it in some ways. So new stuff coming. One last new manga being announced. The Chihayafuru creator, Yuki Suetsugu, will publish a new one-shot about a group of middle-aged moms starting a soccer team titled Mama Match, and that is going to be in November. Excited for that because, yeah, Chihayafuru is a great manga. Let's just leave it at that. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, it is so beloved.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be fun.
I think that'll be great. Their art is always excellent.
I have one last shout out.
Yeah, you do?
Everyone go watch Freyren at the Funeral. The anime's out.
The anime came out.
And also go watch Apothecary Diaries. That's going to come out here in a bit. Or maybe it's already out by the time this is released. Go watch that. That's going to pop off. It is an award-winning manga for a good reason. It is just fantastic. Yeah. So
I'll throw mine out there too. Pluto is about to hit Netflix.
Oh, true.
You have to go watch that. They released a trailer for that. That looks amazing. Pluto is in my top 5 manga probably, along with Monster. I think Urasawa is called what is he called? Like the golden boy of manga or something? The blessing of Japan. He's one of the greatest authors of the modern generation. And just hands down in all things.
The 20th century boy, I believe.
You could say that. Or the 21st century. Most of his stuff is 21st century, I guess. But yes, around that time. Pluto is amazing, and it's going to... it looks so good. It's going to be awesome. Go watch Pluto. Go watch Apothecary Diaries. and go watch Fry Run at the Funeral. Those are all this anime season pretty stacked. These next two anime seasons pretty stacked. I think in January we're getting Dungeon Meshi. I think we're getting Ranger Reject also in January.
Oh hell yeah!
Maybe a couple other things. Ranger Reject might get pushed. I don't remember if we got a time on that or not. But
maybe Monster 8.
Monster 8, I think, is January. Yeah, that and the first part of that series is really good. So if they just do 12 episodes, that series will be very, very good. If they go past that, maybe not. But
hey, they got the person animating Fooly Cooly, so I think it'll look good at least.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, they got, was it Bones is on that, or
I don't know.
It's Bones or
Bones is fucking
Madhouse,
immaculate. Oh, okay,
it's Bones or Madhouse. I don't remember, but one of those is on there. Cool. That's all the news. Let's do one more thing real quick. What are you doing this week? It's a tiny little picture, Gautam.
Oh yeah. I'm playing Lies of P. I think it is a very good game that I don't like very much so far. The combat is fun, but there are small contrivances that make me not like it too much. Like, this is a reason I don't like Monster Hunter as well. There's no animation canceling. So if every Souls game has this, if you are in the middle of a hit or a big attack, you can always roll out of it or parry out of it. Mm. So you can kind of flash react to whatever's happening. But you're kind of stuck in every animation in Lies of P and games like Monster Hunter, which means at the end of the day, it is a very good game that is clearly doing a great job at being Bloodborne / Sekiro. That is just not my thing. But I'm gonna keep playing.
So I beat this game over the weekend. It feels just like a FromSoft game in my opinion, but it basically has all of these sort of all the sins and issues that a FromSoft game has. It's sort of like, okay, if a FromSoft game is like an S tier world design and A tier combat and A enemy design and S bosses, this is like a tier down and all this. It's like, okay, it's like B combat and maybe A world design and B minus B plus bosses. So it is sort of like the same. It is just sort of a B tier FromSoft game exactly. That being said, this is easily the best Soulsborne non FromSoft game close. By a lot. Like it's very,
which is why I don't think my criticism is fair. Like me not liking it isn't a representation of the game. It's just a me thing. Where I think you're right. It is so goddamn close that it's so close. Simply a very good game.
Yeah.
But here's like I don't even know how to put this in words kind of problem I'm having with the game is that when I play Elden Ring or any kind of Souls games like Bloodborne, I don't cheese the bosses or I don't summon because I actually care about beating the bosses. Like in my own head, legitimately beating the bosses and getting better and overcoming the hurdle, and that releases whatever good chemicals in my brain as a reward. But here in Lies of P, I don't really care about doing the bosses legitimately. I'm totally fine just summoning for everything.
Yeah, I did because I don't get that same satisfaction. I remove the negative. I don't want to lose a bunch and get frustrated and then beat it. Then it's just, I'm not frustrated anymore. Thank goodness. I don't get the sort of satisfaction from it. I summoned on all the bosses here. They were all good. It still took me 4 or 5 tries for each of them. It's weird, and we talked about this. The bosses are all designed like Sekiro bosses. You essentially have to learn to perfect parry a lot of their moves. You have to learn their move sets. You have to know when they're going to attack and what attack it is in order to beat them by yourself. In general, that's not really how a Dark Souls boss works, because you just watch their attack and dodge and iframes, and in this game, there's like these red attacks that you cannot dodge. You have to perfect parry. You can't block them, which is sort of like the killer moves from Sekiro. I don't remember what they're called, where you get the little red thing above their head. But yeah, I think this game's good. I just keep playing it. It's not that long. It's like 20. I think I did it in like 27 hours, 26 hours or something. But
I think that the unfair thing in my brain is that I just like through playing this game, I just wanted to go play Sekiro. I'm just like, I'm feeding for a replay of Sekiro now.
Yeah. See, I didn't feel like that, so we definitely had different feelings. I played this and I was like, I'm glad I am playing sort of a very makes me feel like a FromSoft game, but it's not a FromSoft game. It's a little bit shorter. I know that I'm not almost every FromSoft game first playthrough is like 50 to 60 hours.
About, right, yeah.
Yeah, I think Yeah, this one is a lot less. Like, I think even if I had just tried the bosses solo, I might have done it in like 32, 33 hours. Even then.
Oh yeah, this is totally just. I'm not vibing with it. I don't think this is a reflection on the game whatsoever.
It's also, I mean, to be fair, it's also on game. It's also free on Game Pass, so I didn't pay for this game, which makes it a lot better in my mind. Like,
oh yeah.
I did not pay $60 for this game. If I'd paid $60 for it, I'd been like, well, I don't know, maybe buy it, but yeah.
Yeah, but either way, I think it's like a really good modern iteration, especially since Bloodborne's not on the PC. You might as well go play this, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it looks really good. Like, it's not running on the Demon Souls engine still fucking after like 12 years. So it's got a lot of cool visuals and like rain,
the combat
fidelity.
Animation and speed is like perfectly tuned. I think like 60 FPS perfectly optimized is like, this feels better than any Souls game released when you're gelling with it.
Yeah.
Like, it is, I would love Bloodborne with perfect frame rate and, like, optimization, because, God, that would be, like, even 10er out of 10 than Bloodborne already is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see,
what do you got going on,
Yeah, I've been reading... You and I are polar opposites. This showed up, was it just last week when we talked about the awards? I think it was just last week. We talked about those awards. This showed up, I think, on second or third place. I was like, all right, I've seen this show up enough. I'm going to give it a try. Read the first chapter, fell in love. This is an excellent romance series. Two goofballs. A lot of nuance, a lot more nuance than I'm not necessarily that I didn't expect it, but really good series. For sure, you should be reading this. There's only maybe 41 chapters maybe out right now. But already, I think I'm maybe 11 chapters in. We're already getting into side character romance stuff, and I don't know. It's great. It's funny. It's like the main character in this is really funny.
She's a force of nature. Yeah.
Yeah, she's hilarious. I'm just enjoying it a lot. I'll probably continue reading it this week, maybe catch up fully. But I think that's it.
Well, sweet.
Let's see. Oh. Zoom back out. I think that's it. Hey, everybody, thank you again for listening or watching. Don't forget, leave us feedback, comments, upvote. Tell us about your wildest One Piece theory in the comments. Tell us what you're reading, what you're doing. What anime are you watching this season that you think we should be watching, maybe? Give us that. If you want to check out a bit more manga content, you can follow me on Twitter at WGBManga. You can also find me Patreon at the same ending, patreon.com/WGBManga. If you've got some extra cash you want to throw it our way, help us out with the show. Gautam, don't forget to say goodbye here.
Goodbye here.
Hey, thank you all for being with us yet again this week. Don't forget to read more manga. Adios.